Hello and welcome. Today we're taking a look at some new Tom Ford. So we have some items from the new Tom Ford Soleil collection. We also have the new limited edition eyeliners. So let's go ahead and let's get started. Now I want to start off with the eyeliners here. So the eyeliners, they do come with a pencil sharpener. So you do get a sharpener with that. And we have three new shades here. We have number 4 Cobalt, which you can see I have already swatched these. And you can see that these are going to, be smudge proof here. So you can see nothing's coming off, but just so you can see, how the color goes on. It's creamy, yet also a little bit of a papery texture to it, which is really interesting. I personally really do love their eyeliners. They recently redid them within like the past year. So they've had just some neutral shades before. So I'm really happy with these. So this is number 4 Cobalt. And then we have number 5 Turquoise, which is this one here. And again, I'll just do a fresh swatch. And you can see it is going to be a nice, it's a blue-based turquoise. Not as much green in it as you might expect, but it's definitely more of a brighter electric blue in a way. The Cobalt is more of a medium-toned, brighter blue. It's not as bright as you might have expected, but it's still got that medium brightness to it. And then we have number 6 Violet, which is going to be a nice purple shade. I wouldn't say that this one is super bright at all. This is going to be the most neutral of the 3 new shades. So let's take a look at these on the eyes. And I decided to use these as eye crayons as well as eyeliner, so you can really kind of see how they perform. The eyeliners retail for $51 US, and we have 1.2 grams of product. These are made in Germany. As I mentioned, they do come with a pencil sharpener. So I did say that these are limited edition, and I have seen these labeled as limited edition on some websites. However, I do want to note that the Tom Ford Beauty website does not have them listed as limited edition. So it's hard to say for sure which way these will go. Sometimes with Tom Ford items, something will come out, it's not marked limited edition, and it'll be out for maybe like 6 to 9 months, and then it's gone. So sometimes it's hard to tell. And again, I've seen them listed as limited edition on some other retailers, but the Tom Ford site does not have it listed that way. Because the numbering for these just continues where the 3 original shades picked up, I am hopeful that these are going to be a permanent addition. Now, all 3 of these are going to be matte finish, and they're described as a full coverage eyeliner. According to Tom Ford, the gel eyeliner creates multi-dimensional looks from soft, subtle definition to a sultry, graphic look. The creamy matte pencil is expressed in richly pigmented shades that impeccably glide on with seamless color. Gel eyeliner is a creamy, blendable gel pencil liner that accentuates a dimensional eye look. It's transfer proof, 12-hour wear, 12-hour non-fading, 12-hour non-smudging, and it's waterproof. Now, as I mentioned, they did come out with the original shades a while back, and they are really fantastic. I personally really love them. I use the cocoa shade and the cream shade quite a bit, because these really are a fantastic quality gel pencil. What I like about them is a lot of the more recent eye pencils, they're very creamy, which I love. These are also creamy, but there's a little bit of that more papery pencil kind of texture to it, which just feels like it's definitely staying put. So I think this is a really nice formula. It definitely is going to have that matte finish. If you want to blur these out like I did on the lid and use them more as an eye crayon, you can definitely do that, and they do last all day that way. You're going to get like a lighter look with them. These are not quite as smooth to blend out as an eye crayon would be, because they do set while you're working with them. They set fairly quickly. So yes, you can blend them out. You can see how much time I had to work with the movement of the product when I put them on my eyes, but there's not a ton of time. So definitely one eye at a time. And if you do want to use them as eye crayons and you want them more pigmented than how I use them here, definitely go with the thin, light layers. And actually using these as an eye cream with colors like this, it works really well to even just tap like a shimmer eyeshadow on top of it. And you can get like a really beautiful look that way as well. And it kind of will hide any sort of like blending imperfections or anything like that with these as well. And it softens it a little bit. I think it's a really great way to use these because, you know, you definitely want to use up the eye pencils before they go bad, you know, before they end up drying out. And, you know, that's one of the ways I like to use colorful eyeliners personally to make sure I'm getting enough use out of them. One of my favorite looks, especially at this time of year, is going to be like a highlighter on the lids with a bright, colorful eyeliner, and I think these are great for that. So I'm personally very happy with these shades. I like all three of them. The violet shade, you know, it's just kind of your classic violet eyeliner. The cobalt's a little bit brighter. It actually reminds me of one of the old Givenchy eyeliner shades. And then their turquoise, I feel like, is the most unique of these. There are fewer options on the market, I feel like, for that particular shade. So let's take a look at a few comparisons. All right, so let's start off with some comparisons with the cobalt. We're going to start off with the Valentino. This is the color graph in Blue Niagara. So we'll put this one right here, and you can see that this is going to be a bit of a brighter blue. It's also going to be a shimmer formula. This, I think, is such a stunning shade. I love this one. The Givenchy in number 4, Cobalt. This is the one I was thinking of when I saw it. And you can see the color is very similar. The Givenchy is going to be a little bit brighter than the Tom Ford. From Victoria Beckham, we have the shade Blueberry, or was this Electric Blueberry? So this one here is Electric Blueberry, and you can see this is going to be brighter. It's got a little bit more turquoise in it than straight up Cobalt. And then we have the YSL Crush Liner, and this is shade number 6. I think this is a really nice one as well. And you can see that one very similar. It's actually a little bit deeper. I wouldn't say it's brighter, but it's deeper. And my last one here is Trish McEvoy in Bright Eyes. I'll put that one down below. And you can see this one actually has a little bit more purple in it than the Cobalt, and it's going to be shimmery to finish. So that is definitely going to be a different shade. As I mentioned, the turquoise is really hard to, like, I don't really have a shade quite similar enough. So this is the Hung Van Gogh One Eye at a Time. And so this one here, it's going to be more of a green teal. We have Victoria Beckham in Surfside. Again, more of that green teal. And this is a liquid liner. This is the Dolce & Gabbana in number 5. That's my closest. It's really the only one that I have that's closer. However, this is going to be more of a powder blue, like a sky blue. And we have more turquoise in the Tom Ford. So you can see they're definitely going to be different here. But unfortunately, there's just not an eyeliner shade I have quite like this one. So I do think it is pretty unique. Now, as for the violet shade, this is the Valentino in Purple Dose. This is one of my most used eyeliners. Again, we're going to have a shimmer finish here. You can see it's a little bit brighter, but the amount of blue and red balance in this shade is going to be very similar to the Tom Ford. We have Victoria Beckham in Orchid, and this is going to have more red in it. It's almost more of a burgundy. We have Dior in Matte Purple, and you can see this is going to be a deeper, more eggplant purple shade. Victoria Beckham in the shade Fig. Let's put that up here. Again, there's going to be a lot more red in there. We have Sisley in number 6, Mystic Purple. And again, this is going to be deeper, a bit more eggplant. There's a little bit more blue in this purple, so a cooler purple. And then from SUQQU, we have Violet Damask. Again, deeper here, and this has some shimmer in it. And then we have Amethyst from SUQQU, which is going to be closer, but this is going to be more red again. So really the closest shade is going to be our Valentino, which is going to be a little bit brighter and shimmery, but they are going to be closest color-wise. So I hope that was helpful. Let's go ahead. We're going to move on to the cream blush. All right, so Tom Ford's been coming out with some cream blushes recently. This is number 1 Alpine blush. This is part of the Soleil Neige collection, so it is limited edition. And I think it's a really pretty shade here. So this is going to be kind of a warm neutral rose. So it's got some warmth to it, but it's still kind of more on the neutral end of the spectrum. And it's a little bit of a nude peachy rose there. So this is it. And I definitely want to take a look at a few comparisons because it did kind of remind me of the Cafe Blush shade that came out. So we're going to look at those in comparison. We're also going to look at a few others. Let's take a look at these on the cheeks. And in the demo here, you can see I'm using my fingers to apply the blush. And on the right side, I'm going in with a very light application. And on the left side, I'm going in with a heavier application. So you can see how much pigmentation you can get from this blush. Now, this is a really nice formula here that it's creamy, you know, you tap it out, it kind of blends in and will set. I wouldn't say it sets down to a powder finish, so it's not 100% set, but I'd say about 90%. And it gives you this nice sheen to the skin without feeling tacky or greasy on the skin. So personally, I love the Tom Ford Cream Blush formula. They are incredibly expensive for what they are, but I really love them. So I end up always picking these up, and they end up being some of my most used products throughout the years. So I'm personally really happy with these. As for product details, the blush has 8 grams of product. It retails for $100 US. It's made in Italy. There's no suggested shelf life on this product. And I have to say that the Cafe Blush shade, which was the first of these cream blushes that came out, it might have been 2 years ago now. Mine is still going strong. So I haven't had any issues with it over time. According to Tom Ford, the shade Alpine Blush is a mid-tone neutral pink. I'd agree with that. And this formula is a lightweight cream formula that provides soft focus, luminous color, and a captivating glow to cheeks. It's a sensorial, silky, creme to powder formula, weightless and buildable. So I said it's not exactly cream to powder because to me, it doesn't dry down 100% like a powder formula does, but I would say it gets about 90–95% of the way there. So it's pretty close. And it has a natural or satin finish. It's buildable. As I mentioned, I personally love the formula for these. And let's go ahead and take a look at a few comparisons. So I want to start off with Cafe Blush, which came out a couple of years ago here. And this is going to be a warmer shade here. You can see it's almost like a rosy terracotta. But it's also pretty neutral, and I typically don't wear blushes this color too often, but for some reason this particular one works really well for me. So it is such a great like everyday blush shade for me. I love this one. Then last year for holiday, we had another cream blush duo here. And this it was in number 1, High Altitude. And this one I didn't think was as great. The formula in this one was a little bit more sheer. And you can see it's a peachy pink, a little bit of a brighter color and tone, but because it's a more sheer formula, you get a little bit of a glossier finish when you build this up to the same intensity level. I feel like this one doesn't set as much as the ones in these compacts. And this one here came out just about a month or 2 ago. This is Iconic Orchid. And I've been waiting for this to show up at other retailers. I thought for sure it would, like Cafe Blush did, but it hasn't. And it kind of sold out pretty quickly. So this was part of the Black Orchid collection. You can see it's a really vibrant berry shade. So I would say that the new Alpine Blush shade is closest to the Cafe Blush, but it's going to be a little bit cooler than that. It's more neutral, a little bit of warmth to it, but it's definitely more of a rose tone versus a terracotta. And I think it's a really beautiful shade, really great formula. And I did want to also compare the Mimi shade from Westman Atelier, and we'll just put this one here. You can see that it's going to be a more brown. This one here is the Westman Atelier in Petal, which is going to be pink. It is a little bit cooler in tone, but you can see that's probably our closest shade match here to the Tom Ford. So I hope those were some useful comparisons. One more time, right here down the center, we have the Tom Ford and Alpine Blush. This is Westman Atelier in Petal and Mimi. This is Tom Ford in Cafe Blush. And this is High Altitude, which was last year's holiday. And this is the Black Orchid, also known as Iconic Orchid. So let's go ahead. We're going to move on to lipsticks. All right, so I picked up two of the Soleil Neige lipsticks. So these are going to be your high shine slim tube lipsticks. And right now I have on shade number 1, Peak Glamour, but I actually blotted it down to a soft finish and topped it with one of the glosses from last year. And this is number 16 Celestial. It's just going to be like a clear glossy topper. And let's take a look at these shades. So this one here is number 1, Peak Glamour, and you can see this is going to be a reddish rose shade. There is a little bit of warmth in the tone of red in here, but it's a neutral, and it's going to end up being a deep rose on the lips. And then we have shade number 3, Fireside, and this was the one I was most excited about, and probably the one I'll use the most. It is going to be a brownish berry. And it's definitely going to be more of a warmer berry shade. It's a beautiful, beautiful color. I thought it was going to have a little bit more purple in it based off of the photos, so it's a little bit warmer than I expected. Let's take a look at these on the lips. The lipsticks retail for $62 US. We have 3.3 grams of product, and these are made in Italy. And again, all of these Soleil Neige items, the blush and the lipsticks, are definitely limited edition. These are going to be a high shine finish with full coverage. According to Tom Ford, the Soleil Neige Ultra Shine Lip Color, a Soleil icon, now in the world of Soleil Neige, imparts an even, glossy application and a lightweight, conditioned feel. Presenting 3 new shades inspired by a gradient alpine sky. We have number 1, Peak Glamour, which is described as a raspberry mauve. I would say that's semi-accurate. I think it's a little bit warmer than a raspberry mauve would be, but you know, if you put the disclaimer warm raspberry mauve, that's pretty accurate. 2, Rose d'Hiver, a deep terracotta, and I passed on that one. And 3, Fireside, a mid-toned plum. And this is definitely going to be more of a warmer reddish plum. And again, I could kind of think of it as a browner berry. It says One Stroke Shine, a lightweight hydrating formula that combines the easy application of a lipstick, the gleam of a gloss, and the rich emollients of a lip balm. I really like this formula. It's one that I end up picking up 1 or 2 of these like every year. It's a really nice high shine finish. Now I do want to note though, between these 2 shades, the Peak Glamour is going to be more full coverage than the Fireside. The Fireside has a little bit more transparency or translucency to the shade. And as such, because it still has a lot of pigments, this one doesn't necessarily always go on super evenly. So I feel like Fireside's a little bit harder to work with if you want to build it up to full pigmentation level, because it doesn't always look even. Whereas Peak Glamour, super easy. You know, it's full coverage with 1 stroke for sure. Fireside, you know, I would say is not full coverage with 1 stroke. Let's just take a look at those again so you can kind of see. Here's our Peak Glamour, and we've got 1 stroke here versus built up, and you can see those are pretty similar. It's definitely full coverage, but if you look at Fireside, you can see it looks a little uneven, just even on the hand swatch there. So I feel like that one, you know, you can really see a bit more transparency with this one here. So it's just, yeah, just something to note there about that particular shade. I do really like that, and that's one I'll probably wear, but you know, a lot of times I like to kind of blot these down anyway and make them a little bit lighter. So it's not an issue for me, but it might be an issue if you want to wear this, you know, with full pigmentation level. So I don't have any comparisons for these right now, but I am going to have another Tom Ford video very soon featuring the Daydream quad, which has come back, as well as some more of the fabulous lipsticks, which I absolutely love. So if you have any comparison requests, please let me know down below, and I'll try and take a look at those in the next video. So thank you so much. Let's just review what we have one more time. And you know, we've got the Tom Ford gel eyeliners. Whether these are limited edition or permanent has been hard to say. I'm hoping they are permanent, but I have seen it labeled limited edition on some retailers. So hard to say for sure on these, but I do really like the colors. I love the formula for these. They're definitely going to be very pricey. So, you know, I wouldn't recommend getting them necessarily if you're only going to use them once or twice. There are definitely some great vibrant shades in lesser price lines, but you know, I think these are really fun. They're gorgeous. They definitely work on the eyes as like an eye crayon as well. And, you know, topping that with like a glitter topper or something is a really nice look as well. So these, I would definitely purchase them again. I'm very happy with them personally. And then the blush, I feel like that was kind of the star here today, was the cream blush. I love the Tom Ford creme blush formula. You know, historically, my favorite cream blush formula has always been the Cle de Peau. And I believe, I don't know if those are being redone or what, but they're really, really hard to find now. And that one does dry to a bit more of a matte finish. It's a little bit more of a powder finish on the skin versus the Tom Ford, which has a bit more of a sheen. And you know, it doesn't stay tacky or anything, but I wouldn't say it's 100% of a powder finish. I would have to say though, this is probably my second favorite formula now. You know, this is kind of replacing the Cle de Peau for me. So I'm really, really happy with these. I think this shade is such a great neutral, you know, everyday shade. It's a little bit cooler than the Cafe Blush, which has been a go-to for mine since that came out. And yeah, really, really happy with that. I think it's definitely the star. It's very expensive for a cream blush, but for me, that one is worth it. So that I absolutely love. The lipsticks I think are really nice shades. I like them. You know, I wouldn't say either of the two that I got are must-haves, but I have no regrets purchasing them. I think they're really nice shades. And again, I did mention that the Fireside is not quite as full coverage as the Peak Glamour. So I'm happy with both of those. But if I had to pick a Tom Ford lipstick right now though, I personally would go with one of the Fabulous lipsticks over these. These are very nice and I like them, happy that I purchased them still, but you know, if I had to narrow it down to a favorite, the Fabulous formula, you know, just is like hands down a favorite for me right now. So I hope this has been helpful. Thank you so much for tuning in and I will see you very soon. So have a great day and thanks for watching.